Welcome back to another video. Today we're having a look at teacher training days or teacher inset days, what kind of things go on, why they're there, what we do, just what happens in them, because there's something that, again, not really talked about a lot. No one really knows what to do when you first do them. I know I didn't. It was one of the things I was worried about when I first went to my first inset day, and I didn't know things like dress code. I didn't know what we were going to be doing, what the structure of the day would look like, and so I just kind of want to talk about what they generally look like. Obviously, you need to make sure that you talk to your school before you go on yours and double check all the information is correct and double check that you know what they want you to do, but hopefully this will give you a bit of a rough idea about what might be going on when you get to them. And as always, thank you so much for all the support on the channel, guys. I really do enjoy helping people, so thank you very much for all the support and for liking the videos, for subscribing to the channel. I think we're almost at 1,100 people now, which is just, every time I look it seems to be going up and I just can't believe it, so thank you very much. And yeah, hopefully we're building a nice, really kind of strong community of teachers or training teachers together that can all help each other in the comments of the videos. So thanks a lot, and let's get into today. So first of all, looking at what is a teacher training day, what is an inset day, why are they there? They're quite literally there to kind of do what it says on the tin, teacher training. They're for teachers to train to be better teachers. You have them every single year. There's a statutory requirement to have a certain number throughout the year. I think it's something like 4 or 5. I'll try and get a screenshot on the screen or something up there to show you what the number is. But yeah, you do have to have a certain number of inset days every single year, and they're there to help develop teachers. Part of being a teacher is you're constantly learning. You're always trying to improve yourself, trying to improve your school, trying to improve the children's knowledge, trying to improve the way you teach, your teaching practice, your pedagogy of teaching, which is one of those words that no one really knows what it means, but it kind of means like your overall teaching style. You're always trying to improve that, and part of that is doing inset days. So we've just had an inset day. My school was closed due to being used as a polling station, and so all the teachers went in. Obviously the children weren't in school, and we had an inset day or teacher training day. It was all about kind of de-escalating risk in school and that kind of thing, and it was really, really useful and brought up some ideas that I hadn't thought of before, some strategies I'd not thought of before, and it's just a really good chance to get with all the other members of staff in the school and have a day where you can talk about how to improve things and how to make things better. They are really, really useful. Now, different types of inset days do happen, and different ones throughout the year can be on different things, and we're going to go into that in a few minutes. But yeah, they are really, really useful and they're very helpful. Before we kind of look at what is involved in each one, you have different types of inset days. So at the start of the year, every single school I've ever known will have either 1 or 2 inset days before the children arrive back at school, and that's first of all kind of touch base with everyone, and the first day will kind of be getting to know everyone again and getting back into the swing of things, getting to know any major changes that have happened from last year to this year, and just touching base, getting to know new staff that have joined the school if there have been any new ones over the summer, and generally getting back into the school feel, getting back into the feel of being back at school. So that's the first day, and then you'll do some big things. So, you know, over the year, maybe the writing schemes change, maybe the way you teach maths has changed, maybe something big about your behaviour policy change. Any of the big changes will have made sure they'll go over in that first day or 2 of those inset days, just so everyone is aware of what's happened. And then you'll probably also look at things like updated safeguarding documentation, updated documentation the school produces, just anything that's majorly changed that you need to be aware of. And you'll probably get sent some documents to read beforehand, which obviously you need to make sure you do read so you understand what you're talking about, and just making sure that any of those changes that relate to you, you're aware of. So that's kind of the first couple of days, and then there'll always be some time for you to get your classroom ready, because it's one of those things where it's not something I ever thought about before I became a teacher, but actually getting the classroom ready is quite a big task, and generally needs to be done before the children are back in, because once they're back, you're so busy with other stuff that it just doesn't get done. So you're gonna have probably an afternoon or a few hours here and there to do it, and hopefully you won't have to spend too much time during the holidays doing it, because obviously your inset days, you can be used for some of that time, but that's up to your school and how they work. I don't really know. Sometimes we get it as a school where we have a bit of time, like PPA time during an inset day. Sometimes there's other stuff we have to cover. So like this inset day we've just had, we were doing training the whole day, which meant we had PPA during the week instead still. So it does change from school to school, and like at my school it changes inset day to inset day. So do kind of get in touch with your school. One of the biggest things that people do question and do wonder about, and it might seem kind of insignificant to some people, but is what is the dress code for an inset day? And it's something that I worried about before I went to my first one. I think lots of other people do when you're new to a school, and that school might do things differently. So the first thing I'd say is ask someone at the school, ask someone you know, ask someone you've been talking to, if you've never been to one before, what is the dress code? Because it might seem like a silly question, but it's always better to ask than to turn up looking out of place or dressed wrong for whatever is going on. I remember my very first time I visited my school after I got the job. I went in for a day and I didn't ask what the dress code was because I was nervous. I don't know why I didn't ask. One of the things I've learned is to ask questions when I need to ask questions. That's why I always tell you guys, if you don't know something, ask questions. But anyway, I didn't ask the question, and I turned up to school. It was a July day. I think it was a summer fair or a sports day. It was one of the two. I can't remember which one. But it was basically, we were outside all day, and I was there in a suit, in a tie, jacket, trousers, the full works, because I hadn't asked. And I did actually get a text just before I got to the school to remind me, oh, come in sports kit, come in something for outside. But because I was still at uni at that point, I'd driven all the way from my university in Hull into South Yorkshire, and it taken me just over an hour, so I was well past the point of no return where I could kind of go home, get changed and come back again. It was well past that, so I had no choice, and I was in a suit all day, and it was not ideal. It was horrible. It was just, I was so sweaty and probably looked disgusting by the end of the day. But I did it, I got through, and obviously it wasn't that bad because I continued working there. I went back again a few weeks later and asked a question that time about what we were doing that day, so I was dressed appropriately for that one. But it's just one of those memories I've got. It's one of the ones I always kind of use to really emphasise just the fact that, guys, if you don't know something, ask questions, and especially with dress codes for Inset days, just ask the question, because you don't know what type of thing you might be doing that day. You might be going outside, you might be doing some forest schooly kind of things, and if you're dressed in a full formal suit and or shoes, you don't want to get muddy or ruined, then obviously it won't be ideal, and you won't get the most out of that day. So definitely make sure that you do ask those questions about things like dress code, that kind of thing. Now, throughout the year, you'll have some other Inset days, and you'll also probably have some Twilight Sessions, they're called, where rather than doing a whole day, you'll spend some time after school doing or 6 hours over 2 days, so 3 hours a day, doing some training again, very similar to an Inset day, but obviously after school, which can be a bit long sometimes, can be a late night, but it's just necessary to make sure you get all the training in that you need, as we said about that statutory goal that you have to hit for the amount of training days you do as a teacher, and you're making sure you're developing your teaching. So that is an Inset day, and again, different schools do different things. Some schools provide food, some schools bring their own food. I think at mine, sometimes they provide, sometimes they don't, sometimes we'll do a meal all together, sometimes people just bring in food, and different Inset days throughout the year do cover different things. Obviously, we talked about the one at the start of the year, then generally my school will have one after the first term covering any changes that have happened kind of around Christmas time, anything that we need to update that we found throughout the year. Then, like I said, we've just had one around now. I think this was different because it's a polling day. It's not normally a polling day every year, so that was kind of a different one. And then there might be a couple at the end of the year as well, obviously with the Twilights dotted around throughout the year. So each time you go through, there'll be different things. So obviously having one now kind of again was about any changes throughout the year. It was updating some training that you have to have this de-escalation of risk training every few years, so we had to have that updated because it had been, I think we were coming near to the end of our limit of time. I think it was 3 years since we last had that training. So it's just all about keeping yourself updated, keeping yourself going, keeping your progress moving forward as a teacher. And some of the training, it depends who provides the training. Obviously there have been some training sessions I've been on where I've not enjoyed it and they have been boring, and that's just the case because the person that's come in maybe hasn't pitched at the right level for the school, hasn't quite engaged with what the school wanted, and that just happens sometimes when people come in and offer training. But like I say, there's other trainings I've done like this one that we've just had where it was absolutely amazing. It was so useful, so engaged, it was so brilliant, and it was actually quite a lot of fun, and I did enjoy the day being at school with the other staff, just kind of touching base, making sure we all had a day to work and improve together. So that is in a nutshell what an Inset day is. Now, as always guys, if you've got any questions about an Inset day that's coming up, any questions about what might happen that I've not thought of to mention to you guys, then do let me know. You know, things like expectations of timing, I didn't get to school till later than I normally would because it didn't start till later than I normally would. But then other teachers I know at the school got there at a normal time because they had a couple of jobs they wanted doing that morning, which was a good time to get some stuff done. So that kind of thing, again, just ask a question to your school. If you don't know, ask me and I'll try and give you some advice. Though my advice might be to ask the school and send an email, but I will do my best to help you out. And as always, thank you very much for watching and supporting the channel. It means the absolute world to me that you guys are all here watching this, so thanks a lot. And as always, a new video on a Tuesday and a Friday and a Sunday, and I will see you very soon.